Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm doing a Master Duel Cyber Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to see you guys because this deck is an amazing deck to play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Being able to OTK your opponent extremely easily and summon out all sorts of amazing boss monsters like Cyber Dragon Infinity. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scratched in every single video, getting us signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. This card is a definite 3 of the deck, and a really awesome card that if your opponent controls a monster, and you control no monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core is the best normal summon in the entire deck, because this card has the ability, when it's normal summon, you can add a Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a super good effect for this card to have. And it also has the ability, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monster, you can manage this card from your graveyard to special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your side of the field, which is a really good effect. This card also has the ability that this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, which is really good to help you fusion summon. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Hertz. Cyber Dragon Hertz is an awesome card in this particular deck that can actually level modulate itself and search out Cyber Dragon, because if this card is special summoned, you can make this card's level become 5 until the end of the turn, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand, but it can only grab the original Cyber Dragon. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nashter. Cyber Dragon Nashter is a really good 2-of in this particular build, and I definitely want to play 2 copies in my particular build because it has the ability, just like your copy of Hertz and Core, that this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, and you can also discard one other monster to special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your graveyard and special summon it, which is a great effect to get a copy of Cyber Dragon back on the field. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Chimera. Cyber Dark Chimera is a really awesome tech card in this particular build because it has a super good effect to be able to search out your copy of Power Bomb by discarding a spell or trap card, which is just really cool about this card. And then after you search out your copy of Power Bomb, it has a bonus effect that once, when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material, as well as being able to use them from the hand or field with your copy of Power Bomb, which is really cool. We then play 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is a definite 2 in this deck because it gets you a level 5 monster on your side of the field to be able to use as an XZ material. It has the ability to send one other light monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand in defense, and when this card is special summoned, you get to add a Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand, so you can actually search a Galaxy Soldier off of Galaxy Soldier. We then play a single copy of the Star Destroying Kaiju. This card is easily searchable in the deck and a definite 1-of to out your opponent's boss monsters while also giving them a machine monster on their side of the field so we can make a copy of Fortress Dragon. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom just to stop the opponent from touching the deck. This card is a definite 3-of in this build. We then play 3 copies of Max C. Max C is such a good card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and a definite 3-of in this deck to basically turn your opponent's turn off, because every time they special summon after you discard this card to the graveyard, you get to draw a card. So this card is a definite 3-of in the deck and just an amazing card to be able to play in Master Duel. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Cyber Rev System. Cyber Rev System is a really cool 1-of in the deck that's basically a monster reborn for Cyber Dragon. We then play a single copy of Cyber Repair Plant. Cyber Repair Plant is really cool in the deck as well because it's actually a searcher, because if there's a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects to either add a light machine monster from your deck to your hand or target one light machine monster in your graveyard and shuffle that target into the deck, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use on this card. But if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, you can activate both effects. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Realm. This card is in the deck to be able to search out your copy of Cyber Dark Chimera. And it has a really good effect that when this card is activated, you get to add a Cyber Dark monster from your deck to your hand. And it's really cool because you can actually search this card off of a normal summon of Cyber Dragon Core because it is a Cyber Speller Trap. We then play a single copy of Overload Fusion. Overload Fusion is really good in the deck to help you make some super powerful fusion monsters by banishing the materials from the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Cyber Load Fusion. Load Fusion is a good one-of as well in this particular deck to be able to recycle some of your Cyber Dragons that are banished and put them back into the deck to make some really powerful fusion monsters. We then play 2 copies of Power Bond. Power Bond is searchable in the deck, but it's just a great OTK piece to be able to make a bunch of different fusion monsters with this card and then double the attack of the monsters that you summon out with this card's effect. This card is a definite 2-of in this build. We then play 2 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a really awesome card in the deck just to stop the opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play 3 copies of Machine Duplication. Machine Duplication is super powerful in this deck because if you target one of your Cyber Dragon monsters that count as Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, you actually get to special summon out 2 of the original Cyber Dragon from the deck because you special summon by name with this card, which is really neat. For example, if you have a copy of Cyber Dragon Core on the field, it counts as Cyber Dragon while in the field, so you special summon out 2 of the original level 5 Cyber Dragons from the deck. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Cyber Emergency is a really cool 3-of in this deck because it has the ability that basically it's the Rhoda of the deck because it lets you add a light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set or a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand, which is really cool about this card. We then play 3 copies of Lightning Storm to round out the spells. Lightning Storm is just really good, especially since we don't side in Master Duel, to be able to just go ahead and main this card, because if you control no face-up cards, you can activate one of these effects to either destroy all attack position monsters your opponent control, or you destroy all of their back row, which is really powerful in Master Duel, to be able to just board wipe one of the 2, and then go in for a game with Cyber Dragons. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Cybernetic Overflow. Cybernetic Overflow is really good in this particular deck because you banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face up from your field or graveyard, and then destroy an equal number of cards that your opponent controls, which is really good to be able to pop multiple cards on the field by just setting this card on the field. This card is a definite 1 of the deck and easily searchable off your copy of Cyber Dragon Core. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Infinity. This card is a walking negate, which is really cool, and it's super easy to summon to your side of the field, but just making a copy of Cyber Dragon Nova first, and then throwing this card on top of your Nova. You can also gobble up cards that your opponent controls and attach them to this card as material, which is a really good effect and a definite 2-of in this build. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nova. You're playing this card as a 2-of in the deck because you want to be able to summon out your copy of Infinity once per turn. This card also has a really good effect that once per turn you can detach a material from this card and then target a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard and special summon that target to your side of the field. So make sure you use this card's effect to be able to special summon a Cyber Dragon to your field before you make your copy of Infinity. We then play 2 copies of Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Rampage Dragon is an awesome 2-of in this particular deck because it's our OTK piece that can attack multiple times and pop spells and traps on the field. So this card is a definite 2-of in this deck. We then play a single copy of Cyber Twin Dragon. This card can attack twice and is really easy to summon with your copy of Power Bond, and it will actually come out at 56 and be able to attack twice if you summon it off of a Power Bond, so this card is a definite 1-of in the deck. I'm then playing a single copy of Cyber End Dragon. Cyber End Dragon ends games because this card does piercing damage when it attacks an opponent, and if you use Power Bond to be able to summon out this card, it will actually come out at 8,000, which is really crazy for this card to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Fortress Dragon. Fortress Dragon is really good in the deck because it just helps you out your opponent's boards that control machine monsters. We then play a single copy of Mega Fleet. Mega Fleet outs cards that are in the extra monster zone, making this card a definite one-of in the deck because you kind of sort of link summon away the opponent's monsters without using polymerization to summon out this card with monsters that are in the extra monster zone plus 1 Cyber Dragon. We then play a single copy of Sigurd. Sigurd's really good in this particular deck because it can get absolutely massive, and this card is a definite one-of and super easy to summon in this deck. We then play a single copy of Anaconda because Anaconda is still at 1 in Master Duel and just a really cool card to be able to use with cards like Overload Fusion. We then play a single copy of Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is easy to summon in this particular deck with your copy of Hertz and then get a search of a Cyber Dragon while also giving you a little bit of protection if you didn't OTK the opponent. We then play a single copy of Alamirage. This card just gives you a little bit of protection and is really good in this particular deck, especially since the majority of normal summons that we have in this deck are either Hertz or a copy of Core, and they have 400 and 100 attack. We then play a single copy of Relinquished Anima. Just in case your opponent puts a monster under the extra monster zone, you can summon out this card and gobble them up. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. The only changes I would think about making is maybe changing out Anima for a Nightmare Phoenix if you guys want to change it out to be able to pop spells and traps. But other than that, the deck has worked extremely well for me, and I really love playing Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragons are one of my favorite decks to be able to play. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.